On her birthday, she demanded a $3,000 designer bag, saying, "If you really loved me, you'd prove it." I asked, "Funny, you didn't get me anything on my birthday." She smirked and fired back, "I am the gift. Just being with me should be enough." I just nodded, but what she unwrapped weeks later wasn't exactly what she had in mind. My relationship with Sarah was a slow burn. We dated for 2 years, and for the first 18 months, things were great. She was ambitious, funny, and we just clicked. We decided to move in together about 6 months ago. The apartment is in my name, a detail that seemed unimportant at the time. I have a stable career and make a good living, so I took on the lease myself. Around the same time, she decided to quit her steady job to launch her own business as a lifestyle consultant. It sounded a bit vague to me, but she was passionate about it. She sold it as helping people organize their lives, improve their wellness, and find their personal brand. I'm a practical guy. I believe in giving people a real shot to follow their dreams. We made an agreement. I would cover our shared major expenses, rent, utilities, groceries, for 1 year. This would give her a runway to get her business off the ground without financial pressure. She would use her savings for business expenses and personal spending. It felt like a fair partnership. I was investing in her and in us. I was not, however, signing up to be a walking ATM. The change was subtle at first. Her business seemed to involve a lot of long lunches and shopping trips, which she documented online. Her best friend, Jessica, who quit her job a month after Sarah to become her business partner, was a constant presence. Jessica was one of those people who oozed entitlement. She saw my support for Sarah not as a kind gesture, but as the bare minimum. Together, they started to change. The talk was always about brands, aesthetics, and what things cost. My contributions to our life were no longer seen as part of a partnership, but as an expected service. My own birthday passed 2 months ago with barely a mention. She was busy with a client meeting that turned out to be a spa day with Jessica, based on the pictures they posted later. When I brought it up, she just waved it off. "Oh babe, you know how busy I've been. We'll celebrate properly soon." We never did. I let it go, telling myself she was just stressed with the new business. But a seed of doubt was planted. That seed bloomed into a forest last week, on her birthday. She had been dropping hints for a month, circling a specific designer handbag in magazines, and leaving the webpage open on her laptop. It was a $3,000 bag. For her birthday dinner, she picked a place that cost a fortune. Just the two of us. Over appetizers, she got straight to the point. She slid her phone across the table, showing me a picture of the bag. "So for my gift," she began, not even framing it as a question, "I was thinking this. It's an investment piece. It's important for my brand to project a certain level of success." I looked at the price tag on the screen. $3,000. I thought about my own forgotten birthday. I decided to test the waters. "It's a nice bag," I said carefully. "Funny, you didn't get me anything on my birthday." The look she gave me was not one of guilt or apology. It was pure, unfiltered condescension. She let out a short, sharp laugh. "Oh, come on, you're not seriously comparing." She leaned forward, a smirk playing on her lips. "I am the gift. Just being with me should be enough for you." There it was. The truth of our relationship laid bare on a ridiculously expensive tablecloth. I wasn't her partner. I was her patron. My role was to fund the lifestyle she felt she was owed, simply for gracing me with her presence. In that moment, something inside me went cold and quiet. The man who loved her checked out, and a much more pragmatic man took his place. I just looked at her, held her gaze, and nodded slowly. "You're right," I said, my voice perfectly calm. "My mistake." Her smirk widened. She thought she had won. She thought I had accepted my place. For the rest of the dinner she was glowing, talking excitedly about all the places she would wear her new bag and how Jessica would be so jealous. I just listened, smiled, and paid the bill. She had no idea that her birthday gift was already being planned. But it wasn't a $3,000 handbag. It was a lesson in consequences, wrapped in the finest paper my quiet, calculating anger could buy. Update 1. The week after Sarah's birthday dinner was an interesting one. I played the part of the devoted, compliant boyfriend perfectly. I told her the designer bag was a fantastic idea and that she deserved it. I said it would take a little time to arrange the funds, but that I would have it for her soon. she bought it completely. Her attitude towards me became even more condescending, a mix of smug satisfaction and impatience. She and Jessica would have loud phone calls when I was in the apartment, talking about my training and how I was finally learning my place. I just put on my headphones and let them talk. They were building my case for me. My first move was quiet and digital. I logged into our shared credit card account, the one I paid off every month. It was supposed to be for emergencies and joint expenses. I went through the statements for the past 6 months, line by line. It was not a pretty picture. Hundreds of dollars on lunches I wasn't invited to. Thousands on clothes, shoes, and spa treatments she claimed were networking expenses. It was a clear and consistent pattern of abuse of our agreement. She wasn't using her savings for her business. She was using my credit line. I downloaded every statement and created a spreadsheet, color-coding her personal expenses versus anything that could remotely be considered a legitimate business cost. The final tally was shocking. She had spent over $15,000 on personal luxuries, all on my card. Next, I visited the management office of our apartment building. I explained that my girlfriend, who was living with me but not on the lease, would be moving out in the near future. I wanted to understand the official process for removing an occupant and changing the locks. They were incredibly helpful, gave me the necessary paperwork, and confirmed that since I was the sole leaseholder, I had every right to determine who lived in the unit. I filled out the forms but didn't file them yet. Timing was everything. The plan began to take shape. Sarah's birthday gift would not be a single event. It would be a series of unwrappings. Each one would strip away a layer of the comfortable life she took for granted. I started moving my own money. I opened a new checking account at a different bank and rerouted my direct deposit to it. I left just enough in our old joint account to cover the next month's rent and utilities, making it seem like nothing had changed. I also contacted a friend of mine who is a financial analyst. I explained the situation and asked him to do an informal audit of Modern Bloom, the consulting business Sarah and Jessica had started. It didn't take him long to find that the business had no real clients, no income, and its official address was a post office box. Its only online presence was their social media accounts, which were filled with pictures of them enjoying the lifestyle I was funding. The centerpiece of my plan, however, involved the designer bag itself. I told Sarah that to make it extra special, I wanted to buy it for her in person. I suggested we make a weekend trip out of it. There was a high-end designer outlet mall about 3 hours away. I told her we could go there, she could pick out the exact bag she wanted, and we could have a nice romantic getaway. She was ecstatic. This was exactly the kind of grand gesture she felt she deserved. She spent the next 2 weeks planning her outfits for the trip, talking about the photos she would take with her new trophy. Jessica was, of course, deeply involved, advising Sarah on how to best leverage the unboxing moment for maximum social media engagement. The day before we were set to leave, I put the final pieces in motion. I took the completed paperwork to the apartment management office and filed it. Her key card would be deactivated in 72 hours. I then called my credit card company, reported my card as lost, and requested a new one with a new number be sent to my office. The old card, the one she had saved in all of her online shopping accounts, would be declined by the end of the day. I packed my bag for our weekend trip, a strange sense of calm settling over me. Sarah was buzzing with excitement, completely oblivious. She thought she was heading towards the ultimate validation of her status. She had no idea she was driving straight into the consequences of her own making. She thought she was about to unwrap a $3,000 bag. In reality, she was about to unwrap a brand new life, one that I had carefully designed for her. Update 2. We drove up to the outlet mall on Saturday morning. Sarah was in high spirits, playing a curated playlist of annoying pop songs and talking non-stop about her plans for the bag. I just drove, nodded, and smiled. The mask of the doting boyfriend was firmly in place. We arrived at the mall, and she made a beeline for the designer store. She found the bag immediately, holding it up like a religious artifact. The sales associate, a woman with a practiced plastic smile, fawned over her. Sarah spent the next 20 minutes taking pictures of herself with the bag from every conceivable angle. "Okay, I'm ready," she finally announced, marching up to the counter. "He's buying it for me." I walked up and handed the sales associate my credit card. "The old one?" She swiped it. A moment passed. She swiped it again. "I'm sorry, sir," she said, her smile faltering slightly. "It's being declined." Sarah's face fell. "What? That's impossible. Try it again." The associate tried one more time. "I'm sorry, the transaction is not being approved." Sarah turned to me, her eyes flashing with anger. "What is wrong with your card? This is so embarrassing." "I don't know," I said with a shrug. "Must be a mistake. Don't worry, I have a backup plan." I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a crisp, white envelope. I handed it to her. "Happy birthday," I said. She snatched it from my hand, a look of annoyance on her face. She was probably expecting cash. She tore it open. Inside was not money. It was a single T and a folded piece of paper. She unfolded the paper. It was a receipt for a 10 by 10 foot storage unit, located about 20 minutes from the outlet mall. The receipt was marked prepaid for 1 month. She stared at it, confused. "What is this? A joke?" "No joke," I said. "Your gift is in there. It's a very special, one-of-a-kind bag. I had it delivered there for you. It's a surprise." Her expression shifted from confusion to suspicion, but the lure of a surprise gift was too strong. She was still convinced this was all part of some elaborate, romantic gesture. We left the store, the $3,000 bag sitting forlornly on the counter. The drive to the storage facility was tense. Sarah was quiet, staring out the window. When we pulled up to the gate, I entered the code from the receipt and the gate slid open. We found her unit easily. I unlocked the padlock and rolled up the metal door. The storage unit was not empty. It was filled, neatly and carefully, with every single thing she owned from our apartment. Her clothes, her shoes, her furniture, her lifestyle consultant business supplies, all of it, packed in boxes. On top of one of the boxes sat a large, clear plastic garbage bag. She just stood there, staring at the contents of her life, packed away in a concrete box. "What is this?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "This is your gift," I said, my voice even. "It's the gift of independence. You said that just being with you should be a gift enough for me. So I decided to give you the opportunity to be a gift to yourself." I reached into the clear garbage bag and pulled out the item inside. It was a handbag. A cheap, plastic-looking knockoff of the designer one she wanted, the kind you buy from a street vendor for $20. It was stuffed with papers. "This is your new bag," I said, holding it out to her. "And this is your new business portfolio." She didn't take it, she was in shock. I opened the fake bag and pulled out the papers. "First," I said, holding up the color-coded spreadsheet, "an itemized list of the $15,000 you charged to my credit card for personal expenses over the last 6 months. I consider this a business loan. I expect to be repaid." I dropped the spreadsheet on the ground. "Second," I continued, holding up another document. "A copy of the notice filed with my apartment management, officially removing you as an occupant. Your key card was deactivated this morning. You have 30 days to remove your belongings from this unit before I stop paying for it." I dropped the notice. "And third," I said, holding up the final thick stack of papers, "a complete forensic analysis of your business, showing 0 income, 0 clients, and a pattern of using my financial support to fund a lifestyle you could not afford. I've taken the liberty of sending a copy to a few people who might be interested. Like the IRS, for example. Claiming to run a business without any actual business activity can be problematic." Her face was white. The smirk, the condescension, the entitlement, it was all gone, replaced by pure, unadulterated panic. "You can't do this," she stammered. "I just did," I said. I tossed the cheap handbag and the remaining papers onto a box. "You wanted to prove what my love was worth. I decided to prove what your presence was worth. The answer is nothing. You are not a gift, Sarah. You are a liability, and I'm cutting my losses." I turned and walked away, leaving her standing in front of her storage unit, surrounded by the wreckage of the life she thought she was entitled to. I didn't look back. I got in my car, and as I drove away, my phone started ringing. It was her. I let it ring, and ring, and ring. Final update. The drive home was the quietest 3 hours of my life. My phone buzzed constantly, but I ignored it. When I finally got back to my apartment, I had 27 missed calls from Sarah and a dozen more from Jessica. The voicemails were a predictable mix of screaming, crying, and threats. I listened to one for about 10 seconds before deleting them all. The next morning, the real campaign began. Sarah, unable to reach me directly, unleashed Jessica. I started getting texts from numbers I didn't recognize, all with the same message. I was a monster, I was a bully, and I had to fix this. They also launched a full-scale attack on social media. They posted long, vague stories about a manipulative ex who had thrown an innocent woman out on the street for no reason. They painted me as a villain, a classic case of a man trying to control a successful woman. Their followers, of course, ate it up. The comments were brutal. But I was prepared. I didn't engage publicly. Instead, I executed the final phase of my plan. I had a group chat with our closest mutual friends, about 10 people who knew us both well. I sent them a single calm message. Hey everyone. I know you're probably seeing some things online about my breakup with Sarah. I'm not going to air our dirty laundry in public, but since you're my friends, I want you to have the facts. Attached is a financial report detailing the situation. Make of it what you will. I attached the accountant's report and the spreadsheet of her credit card spending. I didn't add any emotional commentary. I just let the numbers speak for themselves. The response was immediate. Within an hour, I had messages from almost everyone in the group, all expressing shock and support. The story of her spending my money while pretending to run a business spread like wildfire through our social circle. The public narrative they had tried to create was dead on arrival. Sarah's situation went from bad to worse. Without access to my apartment or my credit cards, her entire lifestyle vanished overnight. She and Jessica apparently had a massive falling out. Jessica, who had been enjoying the free ride as much as Sarah, was not interested in helping her now that the money was gone. She had her own problems. That copy of the business analysis I mentioned sending out? One of them went to the state unemployment office. It turns out both Sarah and Jessica had been collecting unemployment benefits while claiming to be building their business. An investigation was promptly launched. Sarah, homeless and friendless, had no choice but to call her parents. From what I heard, they were furious. Not at me, but at her. They had believed her stories about her booming business and had even loaned her money, which she had apparently spent on more clothes and brunches. She ended up moving back into her childhood bedroom, a 30-year-old woman with a mountain of debt and a failed business. About 3 weeks after the storage unit incident, I received a letter from a lawyer. It was a clumsy, threatening letter demanding financial support and compensation for emotional distress. I simply forwarded it to my own lawyer, along with the $15,000 invoice for her credit card spending. My lawyer sent back a response so sharp and legally airtight that I never heard from hers again. The letter included a reminder that I had a very strong case for fraud and that pursuing the matter further would likely result in legal consequences for Sarah that went far beyond financial liability. The final, most satisfying moment came about a month ago. I was at a coffee shop and I saw a mutual friend who had been in that group chat. He came over to my table. "Hey man," he said. "I just wanted to apologize. When I first saw Jessica's posts, I wasn't sure what to think. But after you sent us that report, wow, you handled that with class." He shook his head. "Sarah called me last week asking to borrow money. She was complaining about how you ruined her life. The lack of self-awareness is just incredible." That was all the confirmation I needed. I didn't ruin her life. I just stopped paying for it. She was the one who built her entire world on a foundation of lies and entitlement. All I did was kick out the supports and watch it crumble under its own weight. My apartment is quiet now. I got rid of all the stuff she left behind. It feels like my own space again. I'm still paying off the debt she racked up, but it feels different now. It's not an expense. It's the cost of a lesson learned. A valuable one. I learned that a true partner invests in you. They don't just spend you. And I learned that some people think love is a transaction. They think their presence is a gift you have to pay for. But the best gift you can ever give yourself is knowing your own worth and having the strength to walk away from anyone who doesn't. She wanted a $3,000 bag to prove my love. Instead, she got a $20 knockoff filled with receipts for the life she threw away. And honestly, I think that's a much more accurate price tag.